How many of us have said we're going to start something and then we didn't start it, and then a couple years later or months later we think to ourselves, damn, if I had just started it when I said I was going to start it, I would be way further ahead. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you are all doing well. I am sorry that I went on a momentary hiatus, but it wasn't as long of a break as I usually take. So thank God I'm back with my YouTube family, and I hope that you haven't missed me too much, but we are back to regular uploads, baby. And so if you want to subscribe, make sure that you do, but maybe you want to hear the conversation. So what we are going to be talking about today is gaining clarity, finding purpose, and comparing yourself to others. As I have been working on projects which I really love, which through some vlogs and videos you will find out more about, I have been thinking about, what do I want to do with my life? And I feel like so many of us ask ourselves these questions around like, oh, what's my purpose? What am I really doing with my life? And sometimes it then makes you, reflect, and you start to realize, have I really done everything I could have, everything I should have? You also look around you and you see what everyone else is doing, and they don't seem confused. They seem sure. They seem to have so much clarity. And you're thinking to yourself, well, I need to make a move. I need to do something. I need to commit to something. And it can leave you in this really almost distressed place of feeling like you don't know who you are, you don't know what you're meant to do, and you feel confused, you feel overwhelmed, and comparison can then start to creep in because you start to think, well, will I truly be successful? And that's where I found myself. And I started to, listen to some little whispers from the devil, basically telling me that I wasn't as far as my peers, and the choices that I had made had kind of taken me off the path that I was truly meant to be on. And I was having deep set regrets about certain things, but more so than regrets, I was having fears. And if you have listened to any of my videos before, one thing that we need to stamp out is deep fear, especially when it comes from comparing yourself to other people or allowing other people's lives to make you feel inferior or insecure about your own. And I was finding myself in a place of insecurity. When we did an episode recently on the To My Sisters podcast, if you don't know, I have a podcast with my best friend. You should go and check it out. It's rated 5 stars by thousands of people. They like it. I think you'll like it. But we did a podcast episode on navigating comparison, especially when it feels like everyone else is ahead of you. As someone who loves self-awareness, I wanted to catch the real root of that feeling and where it was coming from. And I realized there was a deep desire, and there is a deep desire to know what it is I am purposed for. But sometimes you have to deconstruct and really investigate what you consider purpose to be and the different things that are tied up in deciding to commit yourself to a plan for your life. And so I thought, let me come and share the things that I've been thinking about, the wisdom that I've gained, and hopefully these lessons will actually help anybody who is trying to gain clarity about their life right now. So the first thing we have to address is feeling overwhelmed by your options. I think a lot of us, especially when you are young and you're full of potential, because each of us have our own, potential, things that we could do, things that we are good at, things that we could be. And often you think about all of these things and you think, oh, I like that. I like that too. I like this too. I want to pursue all of these things. But one thing I've realized as I've gotten older is there is so much power in committing yourself to something and sticking to it. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't be multifaceted, multi-hyphenated, a polymath, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't mean you can't have yourself dibble-dabbling in different skills, different talents, and even different industries. But what it does mean is sometimes when you concentrate the investment of your effort, you reap greater rewards in a faster amount of time because you are putting in a greater investment, and so you're going to get a greater output. And so for me, wanting to gain clarity has looked like looking at all the different options that I have, things that I could be, places I could go, people I could be with, things that I could pursue and call my life's work or my purpose, and realizing that actually, as much as yes, there are all these things I am interested in, are these things actually viable options for the future that I've been called to build? And I know that it may feel a bit like, well, what do you mean? You can pursue and you can be anything. But I do think the older you get and the more serious, for lack of a better term, and intentional you want to be about building the life you want, the more directive and specific you actually need to get in the way that you're going to do it. And so I've realized for myself, as much as yes, there are all of these options, we need to whittle that down to the viable options. And what makes an option viable for my life right now is reflecting on the skills, the network, the accomplishments, the experience which I have acquired so far. We can often find ourselves disregarding how far we have come and what we have done, and we can call it, I've not done anything, forgetting that there has been something you've been doing with the days or the years of your life prior to this moment of confusion, right? You've been working, you've been making relationships, you've been healing, you've been progressing, you've been doing X, Y, Z. And so assessing your resources, taking inventory of what you actually have. Where do you want to go? As you guys know, I was complaining the other day about the fact that I'm in Leviticus, and actually I was loving the book of Leviticus. It revealed so many beautiful things to me, but I have now moved on to reading Numbers. And the thing about Numbers, which was intriguing, was finding out that God was really causing the children of Israel to take stock of what they had, what their resources were, take count of who it is you have in your camp, because you're preparing for war. You're walking into your promise, and in order to, seize your promise, you're going to have to fight. And if you're going to fight well, you're going to need to organize yourself by knowing what you have. And I think there's something so powerful about taking inventory of your life to realize, okay, firstly, what promise are you walking into, right? Where are you going? You're going into this land flowing with milk and honey. Where is that? What does that look like practically for your life? What's the vision you have for your life? Now take inventory of what you have currently, because you're walking into that life as you, right? Not maybe in your final form, because obviously the children of Israel would have to now prepare themselves for a war, but you can't prepare what you don't know is there, right? I'm a rapper. You can't prepare what you don't know is there, in the sense that you need to take inventory of your life. What skills do you have? What network do you have? What do you have that's going to prepare you for the life that you actually want to build? And you need to actually be appreciative of the fact that you are not currently empty-handed. Even if you just have a desire to make your life better and you have a specific vision, you're actually 5 steps ahead than you probably feel like you are, because you are trying to gain clarity and you have a desire at least to do the actual work. Yes, you have all of these options, but if you take inventory of your life right now, what is the most viable option? What is the best choice that you can actually make? Knowing the skills that you have, knowing the resources that you have. And does that mean God can't do a miracle and change things around and you can't make a pivot? Absolutely not. But the name of the game here is leverage. What is your leverage at the moment? How can you then organize the things that you have to be able to set you up for the life that you actually want? And then also realizing that you need to commit yourself to something, right? How many of us have said we're going to start something and then we didn't start it, and then a couple years later or months later we think to ourselves, damn, if I had just started it when I said I was going to start it, I would be way further ahead right now, or at least I would have done it by now. And we have that regret of the fact that we've lost so much time, but that time was filled up with indecision and a lack of commitment to something. And oftentimes that's because we are afraid to fail. And one of the biggest things that I've had to address in this season of my life is fear of failure, and this perception of, well, what is failure? So first of all, I think a lot of us don't want to seem like we haven't been successful. And so we look at other people and we take from them, and we take, reference from them as to what success actually looks like. Maybe it's the house, it's the car, it's the getting married by this age. And so we then think if we haven't acquired those things, then hey, we failed. And we then become so afraid of reaching these arbitrary markers of success, or not reaching them, that we become so crippled, or we then start pursuing things or doing things which are not in alignment with who we are called to be, who we are in our uniqueness, and what we actually want. And this often stems from a place of comparing yourself to other people. And when you compare yourself to other people and what they've done, you can start to think, well, I'm not as far ahead. I'm not there. I'm not doing that. I haven't gotten this accolade. But the truth is, you may have acquired other things and you're struggling to see the beauty in your own life. Also, what's to say that that's what you should have? And that's the marker of success for your particular path. So many of us are drawing from social media and social trends to tell us whether we are successful or not, but that's not what we should be doing. Success should be self-defined to some degree, or if you are going to use something else, or measure your success by a different metric, it should be something that you fully understand, and something, dare I say, that does not change. And that's why for me, like, faith and having just core grounded principles are so important, because the world and its standards constantly change. Social media trends constantly change. You may think today I'm a success because I got this car, I got this house, and then suddenly next week the trend has changed, and now what you had is old, raggedy, and off trend. What you're gonna do? Keep keeping up with the Joneses, keep running in a direction which you can't even see because you don't know the future of social trends. No, you should just get off that road entirely and decide to walk on something which is way more stable and way more sure, which for me is, what is God's opinion of me? What does he mark as successful? What is the condition of my soul and of my heart right now? And also believing and having a degree of faith that says everything is going to work out for me regardless, right? Every mistake, every bad choice, every good choice, every opportunity, every success, everything is going to work out in the long run. And so I don't have to worry. I just need to keep my heart in check. And one thing that the thirst for success can make you do is take your heart and put it in a bad place. It can really taint your heart, taint your motives. And that brings me on to a conversation about motives. We have to ask ourselves, as we are trying to gain clarity about our purpose, what are my motives? Do I actually want to serve people, or do I just want the achievements? Do I just want people to look at me and say, whoa, well done to you, you are successful? I think to myself about scriptures that talk about like fasting or giving, and like, if you're giving because you want people to say, wow, you gave, that's your reward. That acknowledgement, that affirmation, that accolade, that is your reward. But if you want God to reward you, the one who holds every single resource, and if you want true fulfillment, if you want to have a true positive impact, then you shouldn't give, or you shouldn't work, or you shouldn't serve in order to be applauded, but you should serve because you genuinely want to. So what is the motive behind you doing the work that you do? And I think a lot of us are seeing, a world where everyone is working for different things, right? Everyone is doing different kinds of work for different motives. Some of it's good work, some of it's not great work, in terms of like, crime and fraud and things which are, immoral. People are doing things which are harmful to other human beings in order to achieve those arbitrary markers of success because of greed. And sometimes you do have to inspect your heart around, well, why do I want the things that I want? Why do I want to acquire more wealth? Why do I want to get more money? Not that these things are bad, but we have to inspect whether our motives are bad. During this time, I've had to really look at work differently and think about the work that I do, whether it's online or offline, as I want to serve people, and does this actually help people? And am I doing this just for a paycheck? And if I am, which sometimes is necessary, why do I need that paycheck? What is the use of that money? What is this resource going to do? What are my motives? And I think in a world which constantly tells us to do anything by any means necessary, we actually need to inspect our motives, and we need to inspect our hearts behind the things that we do. And so ultimately, this season of my life has brought me to question, how does everything that has happened in my life, every skill that I have, every experience, how does this all fit together? And I think oftentimes we are looking for the clear thread that ties our story together so neatly, and we're able to say, hey, I studied this, and then I went on to work in this, and then I did that, and it all just makes this beautiful, sensible story that you can make sense of and you can see. But oftentimes you actually don't get the gist of a story till you get to the end, right? You don't get the symbolism of certain things or the importance of certain things until you get to the end of the story. And hindsight is a hell of a thing. But oftentimes when we are at the beginning, we're kind of thinking, how does any of this fit together? Am I doing something wrong? And one thing that really helped me during that time was realizing that life isn't a puzzle. When we think about puzzles, we think about perfect pieces that fit together perfectly. Smooth cut edges that make the perfect picture, and all we have to do is find the pieces and put those pieces together. Life doesn't work like that. Some of the things that have happened to us cause for some of those pieces to have jagged edges, and some of those pieces to be shattered, and some of those pieces to be lost. And sometimes we make the wrong decision, which means that we have a piece from a completely different puzzle, and now we just have to make a picture out of it. The truth is, life isn't a puzzle, it's a mosaic. It's all these different pieces of shattered glass from here and choices made there and things said there and people met on the way here that come together to make a beautiful masterpiece. But if we obsess about how all of these pieces fit together, we'll lose the beauty of the fact that we can actually create anything out of this, right? All these little pieces. I can imagine somebody who makes mosaics, I don't know what they're called. You don't get obsessed about, oh, which piece is meant to fit with which piece. No, you take each piece and you make a beautiful image out of it, out of inspiration, versus trying to put together an image which you do not know. I will drive myself crazy obsessing over trying to make this perfect image which doesn't exist. I need to just embrace that these pieces that I have been given, the skills that I've acquired, the people that I know, the life experiences that I have are going to make a very beautiful picture. And so with what I have, what can be made, and really beholding the beauty of that life which I'm building. And the thing about mosaics, which is so powerful, is no mosaics look alike. Because of the uniqueness of the pieces, because of the uniqueness of your story and the pieces that make up who you are as a person, your story, your picture, your beautiful image is not going to be like anybody else's, right? But it's still going to be beautiful. And so stop obsessing about finding the perfect pieces and connecting all the dots and making yourself this perfect, succinct brand, right? You're more dynamic than that. And that's what makes you amazing. So I hope that this conversation kind of gives you insight into where my brain has been. It definitely hasn't been neat. It hasn't been easy, and it's required a lot of self-reflection, but it's brought me to a really, really good place. And so I hope that this video helps you. I hope that you enjoy it. And if you did, definitely give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with more organized thoughts real soon on some very juicy topics because I have been planning content for days, honey. Definitely subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you never miss a video from me. And I'll talk to you very, very soon. As always, stay beautiful and stay blessed. Mwah.